Good evening, everybody. Feeling under pressure is a very likely experience with many of us, but with the current crisis, the emotional challenges employees are confronting have spiked. Negative feelings associated with it by no means a reflection that none of us can do our jobs or that we are really weak. And I believe managing mental health and psychosocial well-being during this time is as important as managing our physical health. Right? So mental health issues in the workplace have been an area of concern for many organizations now, given that managing home and work has been difficult, a very difficult balance at this point of time. So it's important for HR professionals and leaders and people managers to be alert to see these signs that might indicate employees are struggling to cope. Right. Given this topic, I'm here today to talk to Dr.Varadharaju Janardhanan. Varda, as he's called in his circles, is a seasoned global HR leader with about 24 years of industry experience. His work in the area of HR spans across large, structured, mature, multinational corporations and global startups that are solving problems for scale. He has a triple master's degree. Again, a triple master's degree in chemistry, human resources and marketing management. He's been awarded as a top 100 HR tech minds in India by Asia Pacific HRM Congress for his exemplary work in the field of HCM, specifically in the area of change management and mergers and acquisitions. He also recently has been awarded the fabulous 101 HR Leader of the Year. His contributions are just not restricted to building organizations for scale, but also contributing back to the larger HR resources and student community. And he's also a certified executive coach and a mentor to many large tech startup founders that are trying to solve the problem for scale. Currently, he's the vice president and head of HR at 24/7.ai. A big warm welcome, Varda, today on the Friday that we talked to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Pawan, for your very kind introduction.
So, Varda, first let me congratulate you and the team at 24/7 for being in the forefront of the current crisis. Been reading in the newspapers a couple of weeks ago as well with the government of Karnataka that your team is manning the helpline call centers that are helping citizens of Bangalore to get door delivery of a lot of groceries and other essential needs. And I think we're really happy that 24/7 is making its mark there.
Thanks so much, Pawan.
So let me get to the context, and I think we've been talking about this interesting topic that we're covering for the day on emotional well-being. And like you beautifully said the other day, fear has two meanings. During the amygdala hijack, forget everything and run, or during deep awareness, face everything and rise. So let me start with asking you more about this thing, the concept that you've been passionately talking about in your article as well that you wrote a couple of weeks ago. So how does it enable rational thinking for all of us?
Yeah, so great question, Pawan. So we as human beings, we constantly battle this fear of future, right? And this fear of unknown plays heavily on individual psyche and emotional well-being. And if this prolongs for a longer time, result in mild to chronic anxiety, and from an organization standpoint, it will have a humongous impact on overall productivity.
True.
So I'm just thinking, yes, we are all dabbling with this fear of future, but then how does it really play in our minds? When we do a deep kind of insight in terms of what really happening within any fear, let's say that you get a nasty email from your manager. So moment you receive that email, your eyes that sees and ears in terms of your mind voice that really perceives that information sends to amygdala, an area of the brain that contributes to emotional processing, right? So let's say the manager in the past, maybe for some reason, created a chaotic moment in you, a very unpleasant moment in the past. So this email immediately gets translated in the form of a fight or a flight response in amygdala, because all your emotional imaging processing happens there. And this amygdala interprets all of these events based on the past experiences. If the past experience is bad, immediately you get into a fight or a flight situation. So coming back to the context of this nasty email, this nasty email, when it perceives, the amygdala, when it perceives this as danger, it instantaneously sends a distress signal to a place in the brain called hypothalamus. Also referred as our command center of the brain. So it happens so fast that all of this, the links between amygdala to hypothalamus, it all happens between a millisecond. As a human being, we don't even, we are aware of that such thing happening with us.
Right.
So when you get that signal to hypothalamus, your conscious part of the brain gets bypassed. What is a conscious part of the brain? Which is your PFC, your prefrontal cortex, which is your forehead. Where all your thinking, logical thinking, innovation, everything happens there. When that gets bypassed, so what we can safely assume is your logical part of the brain gets compromised. And moreover, the hypothalamus triggers what is something called as HPA axis.
Right.
Let me not very deep into this, but I just want to really touch this very important element called HPA axis. What is an HPA axis? It's called as H for hypothalamus, P for pituitary, and A for adrenaline. Right? When this axis is triggered, it actually secretes the stress hormone, which what we popularly call as cortisol. So when cortisol gets secreted, the kind of your blood that flows through your system gets altered, and it pushes the maximum part of the blood to your muscles instead of to all parts on an equal spread. Why it spreads to your muscle? Because muscle have to get strengthened. During a fear, you get either a response, either a fight or a flight situation. For a fight or flight, you need your muscle to get strengthened, either to bang somebody or to run away. So when you don't get enough blood circulation to your prefrontal cortex, that's where your rational thinking happens. That part gets completely detached for the moment. Through the process of this fear, till the time it really settles down, you are pretty much in control of this HPA axis, and therefore people react the way they react. Later on, when things settle down, they later repent in terms of why did I really react to this process. And therefore, I just thought it's important that we really understand the science behind the stress. In summary, I just want to really put HPA axis the main culprit for us to react the way we do during adversity.
Interesting. I think quite a complex set of things happening, when we either respond or react, I guess. One of the things that comes to my mind, and we've been discussing this, is also about the psychological well-being. And you did mention that people with higher psychological well-being are more likely to live healthier and longer lives. So while this concept might look really big at this point, is there any way to start small and try practicing one or two, strategies to maximize that psychological well-being? What do you think?
I think this is the question of an hour. How do we? It's the choice we have within us. The choice of to live longer and happier, or choice kind of sulk in misery. I just want to really introduce this Japanese secret where they've been practicing, the people of Okinawa have been practicing this for centuries together. And the secret is to live longer and happier.
Right.
So, secret they really named it. It's called Ikigai.
Right.
So Ikigai is being originated from the island of Okinawa, and it is said to be the home to the largest population of centenarians in the world. Sense like the average age of Okinawas is roughly around 100 years.
Wow.
Whereas the rest of the world is hovering around 70 plus.
Right.
What is the secret behind that ikigai, or the way that they really live the life? They do not really complicate the life too much. In fact, they have beautifully put the ikigai into a nice framework. The framework has 4 principles. The first one is all of them who practice ikigai, they would kind of do what they really love. That is nothing but a passion.
Right.
Anybody who chasing their passion would always be energetic and blissful. Second of the principle is it's not just that you chase your passion, but or what you love, but you also do what you are good at. So that becomes your okay. Let's pick some examples so that we can relate. A lot of people are, I would just say, the demigod of India is Sachin Tendulkar. I would not agree. So we are such a cricket fanatic nation. And in an interview, when people ask Sachin, how did he really got this unique skill of playing this cricket? And also, how did he develop over a period of time? So he tells that at his younger age, he started to realize that cricket is going to be his passion, which is in his years around like 10, 12 years. And then he also made sure that he is good at playing cricket by ensuring that his techniques are bang on. Therefore, anybody who's good at what they are and they really chase their passion will definitely come out with flying colors. And you have a great example, Sachin Tendulkar here.
Right.
And then what really happens next is you get paid handsomely for the profession that you have chosen, the profession that you love the most. I'm sure like he is one of the highest paid cricketer in the world.
Right.
And then the last of the Ikigai principle is how do you really kind of do your community service? What does the world need? So let's take in the same cricket context, I just do not want to deviate. Whenever Sachin gets into the field, his job is to kind of entertain. His job is to make sure like people are hooked up, and his job is to take India home.
Right.
This is what is a perfect example of an Ikigai.
Right.
Let me reiterate. What you really love is the first principle, which is your passion. Second is what you're good at, which is your vocation. And ultimately, what you can get paid for, which is your profession. And the last is what the world needs. If all of them come together, the intersection of that is the Ikigai.
Fantastic.
And for me, like the example of Sachin Tendulkar would perfectly fit the bill of the Ikigai. And any time that I see that man, he is filled with he is composed, he is very calm. I have not seen him agitated. More importantly, he enjoys the movement.
I think that's, I think you beautifully put that. I think a combination of these things would really, make you a better human being. And I think, like you said, it goes back to being more healthy and living longer. Let me take you to the current context, Varadha. And this is basically when I'm talking about employees, working from home, and whether it's forceful or not forced, a lot of them have had concerns. Some may be dealing with caring for children. Others, who are at home might be, managing their parents. There is also a feeling of isolation, I think, which is quite common. How can such people then manage their well-being in general?
I really like the questions that you are asking. They're all very relevant, and it's, I would just say it's the need of the hour. Let me share my perspective on this. It's a very loaded question, but let me try to really answer best possible way that I can. The last 2 months, the world has changed. I think that is something we should all acknowledge. The present state of affairs with this pandemic in front of us there are a lot of aspects which are quite new to us. For example, lockdown is a new dictionary word that at least Indians that we have heard for the first time. Right. Social distancing, the second thing, that we are a social animal. So now it goes actually orthogonal. It says like to live safer, happier, longer, you have to social distance. And virtual working becomes part and parcel of our life. So all of this creates what? Creates some amount of the newer new. When any point in time, if your past gets challenged, the first thing that the human reaction is kind of resist. So why we really resist? Because we are so comfortable in our past, and we know that we would make a great living of the past, but we are not aware of what this new is going to give to us. Therefore, we resist. So what I would try to really say in such moments, we should try to recognize the world is changing and try to accept and embrace the change. That's the only way forward. Right. Just want to really ask this question for people to reflect. You think that we all see the world as they are, or you think we see the world as we want?
Absolutely.
Let me repeat the question. This is very, very important that all of us have to reflect on. We all see the world as we want, or we see the world as they are.
Fantastic.
We have a choice.
Yeah.
If we want to see the world as we want, then you are left with sorrows and mysteries. Because what you're really trying to see reflect the world based on your experiences and memories.
True.
And not actual reality.
True.
On a flip side, if you want to see the world as they are without any assumptions, then you would start to see the real world and start to kind of understand what is in it for you in the new world. And accordingly, you will try to place your positions.
Right.
And that's nothing but if you start witnessing the world as they are, over a period of time, we will simply fall in this present moment.
True.
The present moment is always bliss. Present moment always gives us a lot of happiness. Right?
True.
Just that to embrace the change, stay connected with your inner world, so that we witness the world as they are.
Right.
I think this is a bit of a subtle subject that we are really talking. Let me try to explain through a small Zen story. So Zen masters are typically, they have a unique way to address any problem. Here's a small story. A man who was impacted by COVID, not literally by COVID-19, but through the recession, and this person lost his job. And he's the only breadwinner, and then he goes home with a pink slip and says that he's been fired. It was a shock to the rest of the family. They were trying to really digest. As they were really digesting, slowly their financial muscle was trying to it becomes weaker and weaker. As your dollar becomes weaker and weaker at home, and then there are other associated problems that really come in, and then this man perceives that because now he is not being the earning member of the family, he thinks that his rest of the family, including his wife and kids, no longer give the same respect that he used to get before. And that also gets into another important point of your social state. So how our neighbors treat us. Forget about our immediate family. How does your neighbors or your relatives see you in a large gathering? It all depends on your dollar value. So he gets terribly frustrated and he thinks, should I really at all live, or should I end my life? That's the state he gets in. So, but good thing that what he did is, before he concludes, he wants to really take a help of a Zen master. He approaches to a Zen master, talks about all his problems, worries, and then seeks for a solution. Zen master, as always, pays very close attention to what he said, empathized, and then his response is always very, very unique. He gets a glass of water to this gentleman and said, just next to the glass there is a table salt which is being kept, and he said, take 1 spoon of the table salt and then mix it with a glass of water. He mixes this man and he asks him to really drink the water. The first gulp, he couldn't really even take the first gulp of the water because it's so salty, and he spits and says, Master, this is salty. How do you expect me to really drink? Miles, and then takes this man to a pond. Of course, he wants him to carry the glass and salt box. And then now he says, open the salt box and then put the same 1 teaspoon of salt into the pot. He does that. Now you stir it well. He says, how can I really stir? Whatever little extent you can do, you do. He did that. Now he said, take the glass and then fill the glass with the pond water. He fills that. He asks him, now drink that water. This man completes the entire water. How was the water? He says, really tasty. The $1 million question the Zen master asked this man, hey, it was the same salt, that 1 spoon that you did, you used it for your 1 glass of water. You said it is salty, whereas now you said this is tastier. How this can change? It's like, Master, this is a huge pond. Salt melts and it disappears. Smiles and says, that's how your mind should. Mind space is as big as pond.
Right.
Sorrows and miseries will just simply dissolve.
Right, absolutely.
And therefore, he says that it's important that we all kind of practice this mindfulness and enlarge our mind space and start to kind of live the moment, and then you will see the world suddenly changes and it becomes so beautiful.
I think it's a beautiful story where that really, I think, relates to a lot of us to kind of practice, the kind of the setting we are in, the ecosystem we are working, and the people that are around with us. And I think that also gets me curious to ask you another question related to this. So what should leaders do to ensure that their employees have all the support that they need in such a times?
So as I said before, we should all recognize and acknowledge there is a change.
Right.
It's going to be a new future. So let's be aware of what's changing, and we'll have to start experimenting and exploring. If you're going to ask me what are the greatest skill that one needs to really, I would say, acquire or hone or strengthen, is be empathetic.
Right, very true.
All of this changes the workforce today. You can assume that they need support. You can assume they need guidance because it's a change. So people were living in the past, they lived in the past, they were comfortable. Any change unsettles people. So whenever there is an unsettling feeling, be it a leader or an HR, the first thing is we'll have to be empathetic to them. Being empathetic is one to kind of understand. Second is to rebuild their confidence. So we cannot afford to have their confidence meter going down. And how the confidence get built? By how we really demonstrate our behavior. So great organizations are built by having great culture. And always people say culture takes strategy for breakfast, and
very true.
Culture would take not just breakfast, but also it eats breakfast, lunch, supper, everything.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to really now start to focus on our basics.
Right.
make sure that your trust factor in the organization is strengthened. Please remember, the trust will be the multiplier. And this leads to what? Leads to be very, very important skill other than being empathetic is the leaders in HR fraternity should start demonstrating entrepreneurial skill. That's not
True.
Think like an entrepreneur at this point in time.
Very true.
I just want to explain this with a small story. Here is a boy who wants to grow in life. So he works in a small store as a shopkeeper. At some point in time, he thinks that he should start becoming a owner of a small shop. Then he floats the thought to his boss, and then he says, how about you lending me 100x every day? Let me go and sell.
Right.
And then make profit out of it.
Okay.
And then period of 1 year, with whatever profit that I have, let me store by myself. Being a true entrepreneur, he encourages this boy, yes, please go ahead. I'm going to really fund with this 100x. So with a lot of this energy, this boy takes this 100x, puts behind his bicycle. He goes. He wants to really kind of go to shops and then like distribute all these 100x. As he was just going, he tripped over a small hump. Then he falls. An unfortunate thing is like all the eggs are now broken.
Oh.
So that's a sad state, right? Boy is terrified, number one, because he has to pay back the money. Number two, because his dreams have been shattered, and he was just sitting and he was almost to tears. By then, like, there are a lot of people have gathered and they were looking at this boy and then like this broken eggs. In that, there are suddenly like 2-3 people, they were taking selfies. And look at how omelette being put in the road, MG Road,
Right.
MG Road and new omelets.
Right.
And they were just tagging all of this. And there were people were making some comments and all of this. Suddenly one man walks from the crowd and goes to this little boy and says, hey boy, don't worry. I know this is not your fault. I just wanted to really share this pain with you. And then he pats his shoulder and gives him $100. Okay, this is what that I can really afford at this point in time. Seeing that there are other 30 people, suddenly like they also got like a realization they got, and they said like, oh, this is a great idea. Let me also contribute like $50. All 30 of them gives this small boy $50. Like 30 into 50 become 1,500, and this man who gave initially was $100, $1,600.
Okay.
An actual cost of the egg was just is just $1,000, and now he has $1,600. He was so happy. And as he was about to leave, an old man walks in there and says, if he gets 20 rupees from his pocket and says, that's all I can afford, my dear young boy. Please take this. This is my contribution. I want to share your load. He says, boy, the lesson that you have learned from this is you should never ever forget people who have helped. And more so, you should never forget the man who came first and offered that $100. Because that man is what has triggered that thought among the other 30 kind of contribute to you.
Right.
So you should always be sincere to that particular man. You're just telling you should never ever forget that man in your life. He smiles and says, I will never forget, sir. Yeah, that's great. And then this boy continued and he says, the reason he is my boss. Shopkeeper, he is the shop owner. So moral of the story, look back. The shop owner, after witnessing this boy with the broken eggs, had choice in life. Like horrified, terrified, and he has all rights to give him one slap, tight slap. That wouldn't have solved anything.
True.
But look at his entrepreneurial mind of encouraging the boy and also make an event from a negative to positive, contributing, encourage the environment to be so positive, and then made this boy to rethink his life and then restart.
Right.
And that's how I would really view an entrepreneurial mindset to be.
Absolutely.
You would always have hiccups, roadblocks, but the entrepreneurs are the one who would actually make a negative to a positive.
True.
And I would really kind of say this man as a great entrepreneur. It's a skill that we might need now.
Absolutely. And I think from what you said, one I think the most important thing is to build trust in times like this, because there's also a lot of gap from what you see and what you hear. And two, like the way you said, it's a right opportunity for leaders to lead by example, and to kind of appreciate as much as possible and acknowledge efforts that people are putting in these times. So, Varadha, I'm curious, and I think I've been speaking to you about a lot of things that 24/7 is doing. And as an HR leader there, what are some of the initiatives that you are taking as far as employee well-being is concerned?
Yeah. We try to really practice as much as whatever that I said during this podcast. Let me just share some of the best practices that we practice in 24/7. We recognize and acknowledge it's a change.
Right.
And it's not a change, and it has an impact on people's mindset, it has an impact on financial, it has an impact on the greater society. And therefore, the solution, whatever that we want to address, have to be holistic, and it has to address the complete well-being of the workforce or our employees. So we try to kind of create, or I would say, channels or the opportunities where we always believe that we are social animals. We need some good cohort groups,
right? True.
Where like-minded people come together, they meet, discuss, and then even during this virtual environment, we want to really create different channels that we have created. One is yoga channel, where people who want to practice yoga, especially the pranayama, they can all come together, and there is every day there is about 45 minutes channel we run, and people can participate.
Fantastic.
Second, there is a humor channel that we want to really introduce, where people with this stand-up comedy, where they can really come and perform. Then we also believed that the engagement should not stop with your employees, but it should also get extended to the families as well. So we ran programs for kids in terms of the painting competition. We ran program on Carnatic music concert for kids, where kids came and performed. And on all of this have really created a nice bonding, and it really strengthened our belief. We also encourage the leaders to not just have your meetings for business, but also just have a casual coffee meet with the team where you don't discuss business at all. So that's very, very important.
Interesting.
And what is so fascinating is our founders and leaders, they are so transparent about the business situation, and in fact we had every other day calls with our leadership team, with the founders. What it really means is people don't have suspicion about what's really happening.
Right.
This is transparently presented, and we also said that, hey, this is going to be a passing cloud. This moment also will pass, and we will come out very, very stronger. This is the message that we constantly try to really communicate. Besides providing them the support for virtual working in technology. Right. In terms of the ways of operation, right. In terms of the communication channel, all of that. So holistically, we try to address this the new scenario, or the new, I would really call it as. The point is, what has really worked before may not work now.
True.
So the mindset of unlearning and relearning should constantly. And to end with, for the first time, we are going to really come out with virtual global talent show worldwide across multiple continents, multiple countries. There's going to be a talent show, and that's going to be a virtual talent show.
Fantastic.
We are super excited with all of this. I'm sure we will create a great culture and environment, and because that's the foundation of any last-longing organization.
Oh, I mean, absolutely, Varadha. And again, I think kudos to you, to HR leaders like you, that companies can put together such initiatives in a short period of time and look at success across different levels in the organization. And again, a big thanks to joining me on this Q&A on the science of employee well-being. It is fantastic to speak to somebody like you who's been exposed to various parts of human resources and business. And thank you for taking time to share some of these insights with us. I would leave the platform open to some questions, but before that, there are a couple of them that came in now, and I think one that came in just now from one of the participants was something about digital health. And this person wanted to know, in the current context, what is the opportunity for companies to embrace digital health itself as a part of employee well-being?
I had an opportunity to listen to Thomas Friedman's interview last week, so organized by NASCOM. So the last question that was posted to him, so of course Thomas Friedman, people to introduce, he wrote the book The World is Flat, and a great journalist. And when the question was asked, what are the top 4 sectors that Thomas feels that is going to emerge, and he actually pointed the telemedicine or digital health is going to be one of the top 4 that's going to really emerge. Social distancing, with virtual environment that we're really talking about, the digital health is something which is going to be the new norm, and there are players who have already are into the forefront. And we're going to see that your healthcare itself will be revolutionized with this new norm.
So another question that has come through one of my groups was also about practicing well-being. And like you said, well-being is a combination of physical, emotional, and psychosocial, and all of them. So this person wanted to know, how does somebody practice well-being for self before they start for the day?
So well-being, if I really put it to the Indian context, is more in mindfulness. So well-being is from all aspects, from your physical well-being, your emotional well-being,
true,
your spiritual well-being are mostly interrelated. So I think all of us are pretty much good in our physical well-being in terms of exercising, good food habits. Thanks to cult, they've actually revolutionized the thought of the exercise.
Absolutely.
Again, that cohort groups of people coming together and doing some exercise in a very, very fun manner, right? So that aspect was taken really, really well. So, but of course, I wouldn't say that. I would say was not done extremely well was your emotional well-being, which is in a way called mindfulness. So mindfulness in the Eastern language, Eastern science called as meditation. Until we have a control of, or I wouldn't even say control, be aware of what's happening within, it's going to be very difficult for us to lead a very, very peaceful life. Sadhguru says that we are a bundle of memories. And when you say memories are always correlated to past. Past always, if you just go back and rewind and see, whenever you go back to past, it only gives you mystery. And then people always, either the past or sometimes people want to dwell in the future. I would say like illusionary future. Future also doesn't exist, but we want to really dwell there. Instead, if people can actually be on the present moment, which is here and now, would really help people to conquer a lot of things. So, time and again, this science of Eastern science have come to life by people practicing mindfulness. So, a lot of us, if you just look at it, we are more worried about the result. In the bargain, we miss our focus into the process piece. The Holocaust survivor, Viktor Frankl, in his book, The Man in Search of Meaning, beautifully elaborates that between stimulus and a response, there is a space. In the space is our power to choose our response.
Absolutely.
So let's repeat again. Between stimulus and a response, there is a space. In the space is our power to choose our response. Anybody who is centered within will not look for an outer world acknowledgement. I hope I answered.
Yeah, I think Vardha, that was beautiful. I think the way you articulated the stimuli and the response and the space in which people have to be there to make a choice is really overwhelming. And I think if anybody pays a lot of attention, I think that's typically how people can really manage their days and manage a lot of things around them. While I would love to keep talking to you at length, and these topics can never end, especially with someone like you. We had penciled in about 45 minutes, and I have questions trickling in, and there is an email ID of Varadha that I've shared here on the chat. So please feel free to write to him. He'll be more than happy to respond to you. Again, Varadha, thank you so much for giving us this time. I'd love to be chatting with you again on something more interesting. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this webinar today.